name's Denise, and I'm an addict. Thank you. It's odd that I'm here speaking on this topic of serenity and acceptance at this point in my recovery, and I thought Robert was going first, so I was kicked back all relaxed, and she said Denise, I was like, oh, shoot, For me right now in my recovery, acceptance is something I really had to get out my NA book. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to stand up here and be a good sharing woman. I'm going to tell you honestly. I had to get out my NA book yesterday and go to the little chapel and read up on acceptance. I had to go to the chapel and read up on serenity, because sometimes those things escape us and we get caught up in the day-to-day living and we don't realize that what we learned and what we know and what has been given to us as tools, that sometimes we forget. And my serenity has really escaped me lately in my program and in my life and in my recovery. And so getting up here in front of you people and saying, yeah, I got acceptance, I got serenity, and I got all that, I don't. I have acceptance that no matter what God gives me, He'll give me the tools to get through it, and I have to have faith and believe in that, because that's what Narcotics Anonymous has taught me, that I have to have faith that no matter what God puts on my plate, that if I believe, have faith, and do the next right thing, good orderly direction, that I'll get through it clean, and with acceptance that God don't give me more than I can handle. And I'll tell you what, I've been screaming at the man, literally screaming, I can't handle no more. And when I tell God that I can't handle no more, God gives me one more thing to handle. And He says, you think you can't handle no more, I'm going to show you. I'm the ultimate decision on what you can handle, not you. And I wasn't getting it. I'm an addict, and I'm like, I wasn't not getting it. And my stepfather had just committed suicide in March, okay? My son is looking at 3 life sentences. So my plate's pretty full, okay? There were some heavy objects. And I go to meetings, I do the next right thing. So I told God, I'm pretty full right now, no more. I can't handle no more. Well, He put one more huge thing. Someone I love very near and dear to me is using, and nothing I can do about it. I have to accept that he's got to go through the pain he's got to go through. I can't give him my recovery. I can't drag him to meetings and beating his ass didn't work. Because that old Denise came out for a split second, and I found myself on his chest going, you gotta stay clean. Well, that didn't work. Next morning he goes, I don't know what the fuck happened, but I am hurt. And I didn't have the heart to say, yeah, that was me. Trying to do my will, not God's. Because when it's His time, it'll be His time, and God will be there for him. Denise wants what she wants, and she wants her friend to be in recovery with her again. And in His time He will. For me, fear and distrust is part that will take away my serenity and my acceptance. I had a hard time accepting that I was an addict. I had a real hard time with it. My life was very unmanageable. The state of Michigan took away my son, and it was only then that brought me to my knees that I realized that I had to have acceptance that, yeah, I have a problem. I wasn't sure I was an addict, but I had a problem. Because if I didn't, they wouldn't have took my son away. And once I accepted it, I didn't find serenity for years. I came to these tables for years, 3 years to be exact. Coming to tables, having a sponsor, doing service work, just doing the next right thing. And they said if I just came along and faked it, one day I'll get it. And I believed that. I came in and I sat down and I was a good sharing bitch. And I emptied them ashtrays and washed them floors and helped out at dances and did everything that you people told me to do. But inside, I didn't get it, And at 3 years clean, I was ready to commit suicide, clean, over a relationship. The good things of recovery. I didn't realize that I had reservations, that I didn't really accept I was an addict. That joint laying on my dresser, 3 years clean, laying there was a reservation, because I was thinking one day when I got, healthy enough, I could do that. And it was there for when that day came. That was my reward. And I'd go to meetings and I'd share about it. Yeah, I got blunt sitting on my dresser. I can't wait to get healthy enough. you know, and they would all laugh at me and say, keep coming, you know. And finally my sponsor took me by my ear, drugged me home and threw it away, made me throw it away. And I had never cried at a meeting. I wore leather, I carried a weapon, and I was very insecure. But y'all didn't know that. All you seen was some hard-ass bitch that wore leather, and you didn't know it carried, you know, a piece. My significant other did, but he accepted me for my character defects anyways. And sitting at the table at 3 years clean, I broke down, I bawled like a baby and got honest. And I surrendered. I surrendered my will, and I had acceptance that, yeah, I am an addict, and this is where I need to be, and these are the steps that I need to live my life by. And it was a real rude awakening. It was kind of like the last 3 years of my life was like a dream, or just, it was just a facade. It wasn't real. And I'm a very real person. If anybody knows me, and those who do know me, I'm outspoken as can be. I'm blunt. Today I have class about it and finesse, and I don't hurt people's feelings. But when I got here, I didn't have that. You know, if you asked me if the shirt looked good and it didn't, I'll tell you, no, it looks like shit, go take it off, you know. And that don't make for good friends. A lot of people quit asking me. They might find out the truth. And I have surrendered a lot of things lately, you know. I have surrendered so much, and God has me on my knees so much lately that the reason this has come about for me, I believe, is because Denise got complacent in her program. You know, after you're around here a few 24 hours, you start to think that you got it. That you don't need meetings every night. That you don't need to read your book. And you don't need sponsees, because they're just a headache. You know, I'm being honest now. My last sponsee overdosed. I said, that's it, I don't need no more, I'm done. That one hurt me, you know. And that's not what Narcotics Anonymous has taught me. It's taught me to give back what was so freely given to me, and that's the only reason I'm up here. This is not me speaking, this is my God speaking through me, because I got down on my knees before I came up here and asked him to do so. Because if it was me, I'd just be babbling. I looked in our book, and in many places, there is different pages throughout the entire NA text that will teach you on serenity and acceptance. And an inner peace which has really escaped me lately, because someone I love, very, very dear to me, my best friend, is using, and they say that you have to work your own program, and they say you can't take other people's inventory, but the fact of the matter is that the person that is closest to you can hurt you, and it will inflict your recovery. Whether you want it to or not, it does. Because sometimes his actions spill into your daily life and your daily doings and your meetings and your serenity. And you find that you don't think about it, but you can act out on it without thinking about it. You know, like being on his chest was not a step in the NA book. I'm sure that said do that. And I didn't look up on it, but I'm pretty sure it's not in there. I know I need to change myself and not other people. I know that I can't change him, I can only change Denise and how she looks at the situation. Because how I've been looking at the situation ain't working. So my serenity has went right out the window. And my acceptance of his addiction and him getting recovery when he gets it, how he gets it, hasn't been there. Because I want him now, I want it yesterday. You need to get it right now, this is the way it is. Accepting that he's got to go through what he's got to go through to get where he needs to be, to get this fellowship, is something that acceptance is all about. And maybe that's why my God has me up here. Maybe this is something that Denise needs to look at. I know yesterday I was in the little church and I was reading and researching and trying to get all intelligent so I could sound good up here. And I started crying, right? So I'm sitting there and I'm crying. I'm having a good old cry. And the snot starts flowing everywhere. Everywhere. I have no tissue. I have nothing. So, you know, it starts out like this. And I continue to read and I continue to cry. And Christian was like this. And then I got the shirt up. Next thing I know, I got to go change clothes. You know? But the bottom line was, I left there. I had serenity. You know? And I ain't ashamed to sit up here and tell you all that I ruined my shirt yesterday. I don't care. If it helped me stay clean and it helped me find where I needed to be to get through that day clean, I'm all right with that. I used to say I don't care what you people think about me. I have to answer to God. But today I do. I do care. It's part of my program. It's part of who Denise is. And I know that I pray to my God every day, every morning, to do His will, not mine. And I go through the day, and when I find myself, because I go from 0 to bitch in 2 seconds. I don't know, I'm working on it, that's all I can say. And it's a character defect that has not been removed thus far in my program. And God's working on me, I'm a work in progress. But that's a part of changing other people. I want my boss to, you know, agree to my new cubicle and my fan and my VCR and my TV, and don't bother me about the radio, you know, and let me surf on the internet. I'll take care of them charts later, you know. That's what I want. Reality is, I'm there getting paid to do a job. I need to put 110% in, give them a good 8-hour job, and go home and take care of my business, you know. And that's what this program has taught me. Because before, I would find any angle I could to get what I want, because that's who I am, you know. And it's sad that I had to go through so much hell to get any kind of serenity. And it's sad that my program got so complacent that God brought me to my knees, so desperate and in the corner. You know, you put this addict in the corner, I'm coming out scratching. I'm not going to come out weeping and, oh man, dragging. I'm not. I'm going to come out fighting, because I'm a scrapper. And that's who I am. They say your character defects, sometimes you got to get rid of them. Well, sometimes I hang on to them because they're a survivor tool for me. I'm not talking you out. This is for me. So some of them character defects I haven't let go and I haven't worked on, because they get me by when I'm in that corner. And today they're getting me by through acceptance and serenity. I'm not in that corner scratching today. Last week I was. I'm not going to lie to you. I was fighting. I was ready to rip somebody's spleen out, and it really didn't matter whose, you know, because I can see his face on whoever I grab. And I had another recovering addict tell me at a meeting, you have to set healthy boundaries. That's part of acceptance. Boundaries for your recovery and your life and what you're willing to accept today. And sometimes healthy boundaries are hard to set. You know, walk a mile in my shoes before you tell me how to do this. Because it's not always so easy to live up to what you say you would do until you have to do it yourself. You know, I had somebody say, yeah, my husband, he gone. He's out here. Yeah, well, let that day come. Let that decision come upon you, and you have to pack up the shit and say, you know, I said at the table last week that if you use, you got to go, and you got to go. It's not that easy. Because when you say, till death do us part, sickness and in health, and this disease is a sickness, and you don't walk out on somebody with diabetes, mellitus, you're not going to walk out on them when they go out and relapse. And it's a tough yin-yang in your soul and in your recovery. When you love them, they're infringing on your recovery, but you can't leave them, but you don't want to join them. So your body's just in a, you know, until God comes along and gives you the serenity you need to get through one more day without using or killing the person you love so much. And my God is very powerful in my life. Losing my son, losing my stepfather, and as I'm cleaning up the remains of a man's life, 71 years, you know, he took a shotgun and he blew his brains out, and no one would clean up the mess and, you know, leave it to someone who has willingness, because that's part of NA. Y'all taught me willingness, that's why I'm up here. And it was real sad to know that this was what was left of 71 years of a man's life. And it was part of addiction, you know, he was heavy into alcohol. And it played a big part in the demise of his life. And my God had me on my knees cleaning up that man's blood for a reason. To let me realize how precious life is. And no one else in the family would do it. So it's kind of like, you know, get the strong one. That's me, But honesty, tolerance, acceptance, faith, those are all the things that are bringing me serenity today in the turmoil of my recovery. Because I'm in turmoil. I'm not going to sit up here and tell you all I'm serene. I'm not. And somebody came up to me yesterday and said, you know, you're not your happy old self. I said, no, I'm not. You're right. You got good instincts. I said, but she'll be back.
Yeah.
She'll be back. This is just, a trial and tribulation I have to go through my recovery to learn what I need to learn, so if someone else at a meeting is dealing with the same situation, I have the tools to help her through it clean.
That's right.
Because I'm going to make it through this clean. God's going to help me, and you people, and these tables, and these steps. And I have to believe that. I have to have faith that God's going to carry me through this situation clean, with my sanity, and without a jail term.
Yeah, say that.
Because Denise can turn real scantless real quick. It ain't nothing for me. Blind faith, reservations. I don't have reservations today about that I'm an addict. I know I'm an addict. I'm proud I'm an addict. I thank God I'm an addict. I would never be the woman I am today without being an addict. I would have never searched so deep inside of myself to know who I am, what I stand for, what I believe in, and where I'm going had I not become an addict. I'd be a normal person out there just doing the shuffle. Doing the shuffle. Today, I hold my head up with self-esteem, self-respect, because I know who I am. I know what I believe, and I'm not ashamed to share it. I'm not afraid to give my God the glory of who I am today, because He's the one that brought me here. I didn't wake up one day and go, wow, I want to get clean. I just didn't happen for Denise, I'd still be out there. The state of Michigan come in and took my son, and I said, wow, I need to get clean. And being handcuffed to a bed kind of told me I must be a problem to somebody. It wasn't myself, of course, but somebody out there thought I needed this, and that's just being honest. But through your love, through these tables, through these steps in the book and the principles of NA, I have found courage to continue to keep fighting for what I believe in. And I believe that God didn't give me 16 years to just go piss it off. God didn't bring me to these tables, have me sponsor all the women I've sponsored, do all the open talks I've done, to just say, oh, well, I think today I'll just go screw it, I just, I don't believe that. My God is too powerful in my life to bring me this far. And I'm telling you, I have been through some shit, guys. And I'm not saying your shit ain't any worse than my shit. I'm just telling you my side of it. It's been death after death. My son's been clean for 2 years, went on a binge. He's looking at 3 life sentences. And that's a hard spoon to feed when you lose your baby. And ain't a damn thing you can do about it. And he's in recovery. Of course, when you go to jail, you all find all that stuff. Because you have nothing. And God's there. And you're going nowhere. He knows He's looking at 3 life sentences. And it's only through God that I continue to be able to go to that jail and visit him, put money on his books, and pray for him and pray for his safety, and know that he's getting 3 square a day and I know where he is. That's what keeps me going. Because when he was out there, I had no idea. And that's how I deal with it. And my God says that's okay today. And I go to the tables and I get honest. The hardest thing to do is go to these tables sometimes and share what's really going on in your life. Because I can go to the table and I can share real generically on whatever step we're working. Because after 16 years, you've heard quite a bit that you can just take a piece of that and a piece of that, and you can sound real good. And no one will know that I'm carrying a huge bag of shit that is weighing me down, breaking me down, and losing all my serenity and acceptance, because I'm not allowing God a chance, and I'm not allowing the program and you people a chance. I'm just doing what Denise thinks is the way to get through this. Well, my way ain't working for me. I'm here to tell you that. And I'm here this weekend because when I come here, I purge. I work on deep issues, the big ones that you don't like to work on. Well, that's what this weekend is for Denise. Last time I was here, I worked on rape, incest, molest. I wrote those letters. I did what I had to do to get through those situations and those feelings and that baggage, because that's what this weekend is about for me. It's about leaving here with more spirituality that I came with.
Come on, Denise.
It's about letting God come into me, come through me, and help me. So when I leave here, I'm a little bit more healthier. Not a lot, just a little bit more than when I got here. And I look so forward to Camp Mac, because the people here are loving, they're caring, they're giving, they're understanding. And when you say, hey, I got a problem, they're there. I said today I didn't want to do this talk. I was told that God will provide, and I need to have faith. And you know what? They were right. You know, nothing I have said is anything new that you people ain't heard. It's just coming out of me, from my side, from my story. And I have completely changed my old ways. You know, I don't carry a weapon today. I'm even Hasididi, I've been told. I've been told I'm quite high maintenance. So I have changed completely, and not on a joking side, on a real side. I mean that I pray. Today I have a journal. I write in my journal. Today I read my book, my Narcotics Anonymous book that I've carried for 16 years, highlighted in every which way in 6 different colors. Today I actually read it, absorb it, and know it, and feel it, and work it, and live it. Today I'm just happy to be clean, and I have acceptance. I have joy when I allow it to be, when I don't try and screw it up. You know, because if it's joy, I like to find out what the hell's wrong and why is this happening to me. And I don't deserve it, you know, even though I know I do. I'm quite sure I do. I've worked hard to get it, and God's blessing me. He does those things for me today to let me know that Narcotics Anonymous is working in my life and to keep coming back. Because if I didn't have those little kudos, I wouldn't come. If I got here and I didn't see women and I wanted what they got, I wouldn't have come back. Even though what I was seeing wasn't the inner woman, I was seeing the car and the furs and the diamonds, and I wanted it, and that kept me coming. You know, my first year I didn't stay clean for Denise because I didn't love Denise. I didn't know Denise. So why would I stay clean for Denise? I stayed clean to get my kid back because ain't nobody telling me what they're going to do in my life. You know, I got that power thing. And but after a year of coming to these tables and holding on to my ass, I got it. So when the state gave me back, it was time to be clean for me. And I had grown enough to love me enough to stay clean to this point. You know, I've only got today. And God has been really good this weekend as far as having me give away what has been so freely given to me. You know, I've sat in those chairs. I've been on my knees. I told you my snot story, and that's pretty deep for me. I have a small glimpse of inner peace today. And I didn't have that when I got here. I had nothing but turmoil, pain, and it don't matter how much clean time you have. I'm here to tell you all, clean time does not equal serenity. Clean time does not equal acceptance. And God gives us all our own huge kudos in life to deal with, whatever they may be. They may not be the kudos that I'm dealing with today, but you all have them, and they all have their own ugly faces in your life. Whether it's a sponsor, lack of, whether it's someone you love using, who's very near and dear to you, and you want nothing more in life than them to be clean and share your recovery and to be able to talk about steps with them. I gotta take a deep breath.
Love you, Denise.
To be truly humble and to accept and honestly try to be myself. That's who I am today. That's not who I was, but that's who I am today. And if you know me, you know that about me. I'm just trying to stay clean, work on my character defects, find serenity, find a glimpse of serenity, you know, in between the trials and tribulations of my life, and know that God didn't bring me this far to dump me on my head, and He's going to give me acceptance of the situations that I can't control, that He is in total control of. Because, you know, I keep saying, save my son, and when I think God ain't doing enough, I start writing the governor and the legislator and the state representative. I mean, I've wrote over 15 letters. I've wrote everybody. I've wrote Washington, for God's sakes. I am just a mother that just won't let go and let God do what God's got to do. That's Denise and her will. I'm good on the computer, babe. Okay? And I realized that I had to quit trying to do my will in this situation and just give it to God. And I know that's about turning it over and letting go, but that's a big hand in hand with acceptance. Because if you don't have acceptance of the situation, you're going to keep trying, and you're going to keep fighting, and you're going to keep thinking that somehow something you do is going to change the situation and the outcome, and it's not. God is the ultimate decision on what's going to happen in a situation, no matter what I want. And it's real hard to have acceptance on that. It's real hard to accept that someone I love so dearly with every ounce of my fiber has got to go through what he's got to go through. And there's nothing I can do but love him. Be gentle on him. Thank you, Kim. Because Denise's way is to be harsh. You know, that's just who I am. And I was told today that doesn't work. That I need to be loving, caring, supporting, and gentle. Well, those are hard to find right now, okay? I'm gonna be real honest. I got a lot of hate, I got a lot of anger, I got a lot of resentment, and how could you? How could you?
Yeah.
You know? How could I be 16 years clean and be here? But this is where my God has me be. And there's a reason for it. And I gotta believe that. And with that, I thank you, and God bless you.
Okay. I'm not sure who the next speaker is supposed to be today.
Robert.
Oh, Robert, you are speaking? Okay. Well, Robert, without any further hold up or anything, can you come on up here and give us our lesson? Yeah, I just went to the other Robert.
Take it up. Who are you?
My name is Robert, I'm an addict.
Hey, Robert.
And again, I think we need to give Denise another round of applause because she did a great job up here. She did better than I would have done. I ain't did no paperwork. You know, Mark ain't here, but, you know, I couldn't even get out the car good, and Mark approached me, asked me would I do something up here this weekend. I didn't come up here, and I'm grateful I didn't come up here this weekend expecting to say anything. I just wanted to be here. Because for a while it looked kind of dim for me even coming up here because my job has changed and a lot of changes is being made on my job. But I'm here, you know. And I always enjoy coming up here. I came up here my first year alone by myself, and it looked like since then I've always been fortunate to bring somebody with me. And you know how you go back home to the city and say, hey man, guess what? Boy, this was great. You know, and you know, when I think about that, I remember when I was a kid, you know, living in the city, and my mother from the South, she used to take me down south every year, and I would be so excited to go down south. Even though I would break out all of my legs and all that shit, I still would want to go. But it was always a thing of when I come back, the cats on the block, man, it looked like they wanted to hear nothing about the South. You know, so I had to keep that kind of like my joys and my fun and my pleasures a secret. Because they, you know, I made up in my mind that they really didn't want to hear how much fun I had in the South, you know. And so, you know, I don't know what that done to me, but that probably played a part of me being, you know, in the rooms today, you know. Harboring secrets, you know, learning how to harbor secrets early on. You know, I share this with y'all too. You know, when I was a kid, you know, I went to the Goodwill and bought me a pair of ice skates because I wanted to do something different. And I learned how to ice skate, you know, and I couldn't take that back to the hood. You know what I'm saying? Because I didn't want them talking about me, man. You know, I come out of a neighborhood where, you know, either you got talked about or you talked about people. That's how it was, man. So, I'm truly glad as hell to be here, though. You know, I was just sitting back thinking about, you know, when I had a couple of years clean, I was sitting in that chair and thinking, damn, Robert, you know, my acceptance for life was different when I had 2 years than it is today with 16 years. You know, when I had 2 years clean, you know, my acceptance was like, just can't nothing go wrong. You know what I'm saying? I'm learning some stuff, but shit can't go wrong. I didn't I probably didn't really pay attention to the choices that I was getting ready to receive with life. And today, man, you know, I tell you, my fears involves what I've accomplished is holding on to it and keeping it. You know, what would happen if, you know what I mean? Like we was talking, Sam, at the table yesterday. You know, that was some good stuff we were sharing. You know, learning how to not know. I've heard it shared up at the podium today that, you know, all we can do is just keep doing it a day at a time. And look, here my serenity is you people. That's where my serenity come from. Because I tell you, man, I'm a 51-year-old man, right? But a lot of days, I'm like still about 14. Because I cut my stuff off early. You know what I'm saying, Ron? I mean, I cut it off, baby. I cut it off, man. Feelings, emotions, joy, happiness, gladness, all that, I cut it off, man. And what I went to looking for was in a bag of dope. I thought I was finding it in a bag of dope. And I found a group of people that was just like me, that was trying even harder than I was to see if they could get it and find it in a bag of dope. You know, and now I became real accustomed to that way of life. And so when y'all prayed me up in the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous, man, you know, I tell you something. You talking about some acceptance on a deep level. You know, I had made a plumb mess of myself when I got here. You know what I'm talking about? I'm talking about body, physically and mentally, and not to speak about the spiritual aspect. You know, so I was real tore up. You know, even in treatment, I had a lot of doubt. Those 90 days I was in treatment, I had a lot of doubt that I was gonna be all right when I got out. But you know what? The beautiful part about this program is just stay vigilant. Just stay vigilant. Just stay focused. You don't have to worry about it. All you got to do is just watch us. And just stay with the bunch. That's how I look at it. Stick with the bunch. And I got through that. I came back to the neighborhood. That was hard for me. Accepting the fact that I had to go back to the same neighborhood that I practiced in. You know, and I'm still on the block. Still on the block, man. Acceptance for me is that Robert don't have a lot of great education. You know what I'm saying? I'm not book smart, right? But the two gifts that I'm grateful to God for today is wisdom and common sense. You know, those two things for me has kept me pretty grounded. You know, on my job, I work in a church, and there's probably been 3 ministers that was leading the congregation. You know what I'm saying? And I had opportunity to experience seeing people that's leaders, right, get their jobs back due to the disease of addiction. When people, you know, like y'all, is counting on these people to carry them people through, right? You know, and those have been great lessons for me. You know what I'm saying? Especially coming in the rooms, Narcotics Anonymous, and looking around and finding out that people will fail you. They will fail you. You know, and again, I talk to my sponsor a lot of times when things like happen on my job, because let me share this with y'all. Some of the acceptance for Robert is today. Loretta is just learning how to know that things is new. See, it talk about new in the book all the time, but a lot of things sometimes we pass over that word with a minimum concern. New, you know what I'm saying? That's why we struggle so much with stuff and events to take place in our lives, because we don't look at it as being new. A lot of this stuff been new. It's new to us. I don't know about y'all, man, but I told you I started using real early. You know, I never held a job. I went, but I didn't stay long. You know what I'm saying? So it's been new. Still today, 51 years old, I got people in my life just retired from their job, but they told me how they got through, just through the skin of their teeth. They made it through. You know, I associate with people that never done work before, you know what I'm saying? And that's new to me, you know. And so my main responsibility is to keep my job, you know. But what I have trouble accepting is what come down the pipe. You know what I mean? I be like, you know, you've been giving me this order to do this a certain way, and then all of a sudden y'all say, we need you to do this. What you mean? Me? Yeah, Robert, you. And see, because of the characteristics I have of my personality, you know, I get to thinking that y'all trying to pile up on me. I'm thinking y'all done got together. And I even went to my boss and told him, I said, man, I think everybody know what's going on but me. That shit didn't feel good, you know. But I tell you something, a problem shared is a problem cut in half. No matter what it is that you feel, if you don't find the courage to speak up, all I'm sharing is my feelings. And what I've learned since I've been in the room of recovery is that all we ever share is our feelings and our emotions. That's it. I said, what a concept. That's really all we share. We are sharing stuff that people get paid great money to hear other people share. They just license to listen. Damn. The hip part is we get free therapy. For $1, maybe $2. Hot cup of coffee. And your ass can get better just listening. You know. And I hear people all, you know how you stay in these rooms and you hear, man, where people have literally been broke down and health broke down because they didn't get a chance to talk to somebody they wanted to share their stuff with. They couldn't find nobody to share it with. You can walk in folks' homes today and look at the despair on their face and know all they really want to do is just talk to somebody. You know what I'm saying? Free themselves. You know, see, I got an auntie and an uncle, man, that, you know, I remember I had about 3 or 4 years clean, and I was taking my daughter to daycare, and my uncle was going down the street, and I seen this car, and I waved at him like that, and when he saw me, he like got a chance to hit the brakes to back up to talk to me. And I just remember how, well, man, it would have been a time he would have saw my ass, man, he would have just hit. He was like, hell no. Shit, Robert. Not me, man. So, you know, those are things those are signs to let you know that we get better up in here, you know. And let's understand something. This is new. We ain't never had to do this before. In recovery, we ain't never had to be in recovery, but the first time. After that, if you decide to go back and come back, but it's still only a first time that you walk into the rooms and you make a decision to want to recover. Then you get in here, you got to ask yourself, what are you recovering from, Jerry? You know what I'm saying? That's the next question you have to ask yourself. You know, look here. I'm recovering from knowing that I can't put no blow on this, no rock, right? I get a chance to witness in the mirror every morning that, hello? Oh, y'all know what I'm talking about, right? Huh? You get a chance to visit you today. Hello? You know what I'm saying? I talk to myself in the mirror today, Ron, and I say, what we gonna do today? Because I ain't but one away from giving all this back. It's my responsibility. That's the acceptance on a deep level, man, that I ain't with all the time. You know, the book saying the first step say, I got to get up and accept my addiction to my life just the way it is. I don't know about y'all, man, but some days I roll out to bed, it be like roll back in. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to do this. Who is the people waiting on me to get where at 8 o'clock? They want me. Some days my mind will tell me you ain't got nowhere to go.
Yeah.
They really just don't go, Robert. Oh, what about this? And don't call them. And then it'll say don't call nobody. And then I don't want to hear nothing. The disease say go into a moment of silence. Shut up, Robert. You see, because I know this thing is still out to kill us.
Yeah.
See, we don't hear about the people don't talk about how powerful and cunning this thing really is. I'm talking about deep level, man. I'm talking about getting this thing on a deep level. I'm talking about what makes sense, man, if you got a few dollars in the bank and you wake up in the morning and ready to give up. Give up? Now who else would understand that shit but us? Now let me go to my auntie's house and sit down with my uncle and auntie and they in their 70s and they seeing me do this and go here and go places and sit down. You know what, y'all, auntie, I just really feel like giving up. The first thing they gonna do is politely, one of them gonna leave and get up and they're gonna try to get to the phone. And then before I know it, that shit gonna be down in Mississippi. Huh? They gonna have it on the internet, it's gonna be everywhere, man. You know, because they can't understand. They don't understand what courage it's done taken for us to come out the dope house. They don't understand that. That's why I tell people today, one of the things I get serenity from is some days when I sit in a meeting, I'm sitting there and I look around at y'all, and I say, man, to myself, this is a wonderful thing. I think it takes time for people to really appreciate each individual person sharing their hopes, their strengths, and their experience. Whether you're afraid, you're scared, and what I love mostly is when somebody tell me they're afraid to talk. See, that's the disease. That ain't the spiritual aspect of it. That's the disease part of it. The disease of addiction will have us, it's in here. It's at Camp Mac right now. Trying to talk somebody into believing that you really don't need to be here. You know what I'm talking about? Just study, it don't stop. But what about this part? Learning how to grow up in the process of recovery and taking this process on your job, and when things come down the pipe, you just got to knuckle up and be a good guy. That's the stuff I don't accept sometimes, man. I can't get no acceptance with that. Some days I just want to slap somebody. Yeah. Just let me powwow your ass one time. For real. When them wound up. Bam! Somebody like that. Just, but you know what I've learned since I've been in the rooms, that, man, what happens down, because we in the process, it don't feel good, Jerry. Do you know how, we used to do stuff and didn't care. Man, we was having, Ray and I was talking at the lake yesterday about a friend of his that, he likes listening to, you ever got anybody in your life now that want to listen to your recovery process but they ain't willing to make no changes? Mm-hmm. But they want to listen. What about those days when I got to get some acceptance with the fact that you don't want to listen? You don't want to listen, and really I don't want to share with you. What about those days when I wake up and I ain't got no tolerance, man? Mm-hmm. I don't know about y'all, I don't wake up out the bed all hunky-dory with a lot of tolerance. I just don't have it. I ain't cut like that. I ain't cut that kind of cloth. I didn't, that ain't the stuff that comes back. It's a lot of my low character is still with me from being a junkie. Right? I used to, when I was shooting drugs, I used to look out the window at 10 o'clock and see people walking and say, what they doing up so early? Why is they walking around at 10 o'clock in the morning? I thought it was only normal for everybody to get out of bed at 1. That's insane. What about when I'm talking about, man, there's some things, And here's the thing. I have to get some deep level acceptance when I get naked in the mirror. Because there's some life-lasting scars on my body that ain't going nowhere. They don't disappear because you get clean. I'm reminded and I carry that message today so I don't lose myself in Narcotics Anonymous. Because you can go permanently insane in here, clean. And I ain't trying to do that. See, I don't know what you got to do to stay sane, but I know me, I'm the kind of person, I have to talk about stuff that look see, this disease will make you think, well, your stuff is so minute. Don't talk about that, Rob. Don't you know you got time in the program? 5 minutes. You got time in the program, right? Real quick. Acceptance on a deep level is this. My life is set up like this. I got a job. I really think that they like me fairly. They like me pretty good on my job. Pretty much, I do believe that, and it's pretty good to even think you believe that they like you on your job. My life is set up like this. Part of my life is dealt with a reservation, right? I got some things in my life that I can put my name on that will set me up. Right now, I'm talking about money. I got access to a lot of money that I can put my name on. And here's the hit. It ain't mine. But it's a reservation for me to believe that it's mine. I'm just waiting on a good day. And wondering what's going to happen to be good, what's going to be so good for me to go sign up right there. And the fear of that is that, Robert, once you do that, I have no control over money. So if I was to go get $50,000, say I'm going to fix my house, right? Don't matter what, you got to pay that money back, mister. And I've seen a lot of people disappear up in here because they get set up. See, this is my responsibility to tell my sponsor how I'm laying for real. I got this credit card. Watch me go over here to the garbage can with that credit card, right? I share this with you. One of the things people don't like to talk about in Narcotics Anonymous, that's money and sex. They don't talk about that. One of the things I don't like about me, but I have to accept about me, and that I like to charm women. I enjoy that shit. Because I didn't have no social acceptability when I got here. I got a little bit now, and I enjoy that. I like to make people smile. I really enjoy that shit. Because I didn't see no way possible that I could make a smile come to your face before I got here. You know what I'm saying? So just to hug somebody, and a lot of times, man, we do people great deals of favors when we do that. So, I got my stuff, man. I got my internal stuff, Ron. You know what I'm talking about? Stuff that when you see me, you don't see it say nothing like that on my body. But I got those kind of connections where I have to know personally, that's my responsibility, that I can mess myself up. And I don't know what my relapse look like. But we be walking around up in here playing with this disease, but you need to tell somebody where you going sometime. Especially if you going to a place where they got money and they about to give you some more. Because the addict and fool and money boy don't mix. Because it ain't never nothing that can satisfy us. So some days, the reason why I come out here to Camp Max still today, I find this a place for groundness. I get grounded when I come here. I can go back to the city and deal. You know, I can go back, you understand, and be alone with my checkbook, right? With my bank account, right? And not think that, man, I ain't got enough money in my account. Well, who cares how much money you got? The book already done told us I can live with or without it. See, I got to read the literature and believe what the literature says. But I'm just saying that to say this, that some acceptance on a deep level means to me that I have to talk about my stuff. You know what I'm saying? So I can stay grounded, man, because I'm still a scared individual. I don't know what my decision might be tomorrow. There's something might be disturbing my peace where I say, you know what, I can fix this with this. I've been wanting to do that anyway. And before I know it, Sam, I'm somewhere, you know, and I done told y'all and shared about it, but that ain't enough sometimes. So, I'm grateful. The serenity is in closing. I'm going to get off this podium. Serenity is this. Is that where I get my serenity is that God has given me enough courage to tell on myself. I got a group of men in my life that I can go to and I can tell on myself. I don't care what they do with it. I don't mind telling on Robert today. They know me. They know I'm a knucklehead, right? And it's all right. You know what I'm saying? I got a good heart, though. I know that. And I love y'all. Thanks.
Thank you.